The classroom buzzed softly with the hum of voices, consolidating around an intricate web of friendship and rivalry. Among the students, Sarah sat quietly at her desk, her eyes darting around the room with a mixture of boredom and apprehension. Today, there's something different in the air, a tension rooted deep within her, stemming from a question she couldn't quite articulate but felt strongly about. It was the kind of tension that made her cheeks flush and her fingers tremble slightly as she clutched her pen. His name was Amir, a quiet boy with warm brown eyes and a gentle smile that rarely reached his lips fully. She saw him as kind, perhaps too kind for a girl like her. Yet amidst the break room chatter, she noticed how some classmates exchanged subtle glances whenever Amir sat near the windows, lost in his thoughts, or worked on his assignments with a grace that seemed almost too delicate for a boy. There was an unspoken line, a boundary that seemed clear to her, one she didn't want crossed. One day, as the teacher called out seating arrangements for an upcoming group activity, Sarah found herself moved closer to Amir's desk. Slightly uncomfortable but curious, she shot a quick glance at her friends. They whispered softly, their eyes flickering with mischief or warning. She couldn't quite tell. Seconds later, she hesitated, her heart pounding. Then, driven by an inexplicable impulse, she turned her back on Amir and demanded to switch seats. Her voice was firm, yet trembling, as if she fought an internal battle. "Can I sit somewhere else?" she said, unwilling to meet his gaze. The teacher, caught off guard, looked between Sarah and Amir before nodding hesitantly. "Sure, Sarah, you can sit over there," she responded, pointing to an empty desk farther away. Sarah quickly moved, feeling a strange mix of relief and guilt. The class continued, but Sarah couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that settled deep within. A sense of shame. She couldn't quite understand. Later that day, rumors spread among her classmates. Some teased her about her decision, calling her rude or immature. Others looked at her with pity or disdain. She tried to dismiss it all, telling herself it was just a joke, just a passing moment, but her heart wasn't at ease. The act of refusing to sit next to Amir had been simple, perhaps even justified in her mind at the time, but it carried consequences she didn't anticipate, consequences that would soon turn her world upside down. That evening, as she sat alone in her room, Sarah's mind replayed the scene endlessly. She remembered the way Amir's eyes flickered with a flicker of hurt, the way his shoulders slumped after she refused to sit beside him. Inside her, a nagging voice whispered doubts. Was it because of her prejudices? Her ignorance? Or simply fear of the unfamiliar? The question lingered, unresolved, haunting her with the power of unspoken emotions and the seeds of regret she didn't yet acknowledge. In the quiet darkness, she made a silent vow. Perhaps tomorrow, she would approach Amir, apologize, and make amends. But little did she know, karma was already setting her in motion, waiting for its moment to strike. Days passed, and Sarah's remorse gnawed at her like a persistent ache. She observed Amir from afar, noticing how he maintained his composure despite the whispers and subtle snubs. His kindness, his patience, it all seemed to grow within her a mixture of admiration and shame. She decided at last to confront her guilt and reach out. The next morning, she gathered her courage, confronting the fear that gripped her again. She found the perfect moment in the courtyard, where Amir sat alone reading a book. Her footsteps hesitated at first, her breath shallow, but she pushed forward. "Hey, Amir," she called softly, voice trembling. He looked up slowly, surprise flickering in his eyes. She hesitated, then found her voice. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for what I did the other day. It was unfair, and I shouldn't have judged you like that." Amir looked down at his book for a moment, then smiled gently. "Thank you," he said softly. "It takes courage to apologize." The two exchanged a tentative glance, and for the first time, Sarah sensed a flicker of genuine connection. It was a fragile beginning, but it marked the start of her journey toward understanding. In the days that followed, Sarah worked hard to make amends, even sitting beside Amir during class activities. Trying to bridge the gap her earlier actions had widened. Yet, despite her efforts, subtle hints of tension persisted. Her friends whispered behind her back, and some classmates still looked at her with suspicion. It was a complicated process, one that required patience and humility. But karma, as unpredictable as life itself, was waiting in the shadows. Unbeknownst to Sarah, her actions had set off a chain reaction, one that would test her resolve and her heart in ways she couldn't foresee. One afternoon, as she passed by the school corridor, she felt an ominous presence behind her. Turning around, she saw her classmate Lily smirking maliciously. "Did you hear what Amir said yesterday?" Lily sneered. "He's just pretending to forgive you. That girl's just playing nice until she gets what she wants." Sarah's face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment and defensiveness. "That's not true," she whispered, her voice trembling. Lily shrugged. "Whatever. Just be careful. People like Amir, people like you, should learn their place." With that, she turned away, leaving Sarah to grapple with her growing anxiety. Karma was approaching swift and relentless. The universe was quietly preparing to teach her, a lesson, one that she wouldn't forget. The turning point arrived unexpectedly. One stormy afternoon, a school event was underway, an assembly that brought everyone together in a show of unity. Amir was asked to speak about tolerance and kindness. His voice, clear and resonant, touched everyone in the room as he shared stories of his own struggles and hopes. Sarah listened intently, tears prickling her eyes. She saw in Amir not just a boy she had judged unfairly, but a person who had endured so much with grace. Her heart pounded with guilt, shame, and hope. When he finished speaking, he looked directly at her and nodded slightly, an unspoken message of forgiveness and understanding. Suddenly, the universe responded differently. The worst storm of her life was yet to come. During the return trip home, she received a message from her mother. A serious accident had happened to her younger brother. The world seemed to tilt beneath her feet. Her heart raced, tears streaming down her face as she felt helpless, desperate to be there for her family. In that moment, her phone buzzed again. An anonymous message appeared. "Karma waits for no one." It was a reminder that life's balance was delicate and that every action, no matter how small, ripples through time. This lesson, painfully real, sank deep into her soul. Through her pain and despair, Sarah realized that the universe doesn't measure justice with quickness or severance. It weaves its lessons through pain, patience, and the acknowledgement of one's mistakes. As she sat in her room, trembling and overwhelmed, she knew that her journey had only just begun, a journey of empathy, humility, and redemption.